Well, welcome to this episode, ladies, of Did She Really Say That? And surprisingly, you've been listening to all of our episodes and you're thinking, yes, there are women on here that are really changing the world of business, that are doing things differently and challenging the norm. And that's exactly why I brought Katrina on here, because not only is she has my name, actually, I think I have her name. We don't discuss that anymore, but we are having fun with this. And so we brought her on because we have a way of learning. And I think this is really interesting that we tend to forget this as human beings. We learn a very specific and certain way as children, and then we evolve this. And what Katrina's brought to the table is really how to have that lasting learning experience, right? So, learning that lasts. Because how many of you have learned something and then forgotten it? How many of you have heard something and forgotten it? How many of you have done something once or twice, like put together your web page and then totally forgot how you put it all together and then can't remember what you did? Yes, I have hands rising all over the place. So let me introduce you to Katrina. Katrina is known as the trainer's trainer. She is a facilitator, a speaker, and an author with 25 plus amazing years of experience in learning and development, right? So when you have somebody that's got that many years of skill sets, what do? We become entrepreneurs, right? That's exactly what we do. So Katrina has just recently launched her book, Learning That Last, where she's helping thousands of on the subject matter of designing and delivering engaging learning experience. How many of e-courses out there that are like total flops? Snoozeville. How many of you are training but feel like nobody's engaging with you? Yep, we're about to change that. So, Katrina, thank you for being here on the show. Let's dive into Learning That Last. Tell us about the book.
Awesome. Thanks, Katrina, for having
Mhm.
me. It's kind of wild to have two Katrinas in one space.
But it's awesome.
It is, absolutely. So, Learning That Lasts is a collection of more than 45 reflection activities that are geared towards trainers and designers of learning, but coaches, people, anyone who wants to learn or remember something is going to benefit from. And these are reflection activities that you can use before you learn, during learning, post learning to
Hmm.
really help make it durable, make it stick, keep it around for long term. And they're easy. They're like you could pick them up, do them right now and help you remember because we've all had that feeling, right, of walking into a room to get something and then you stand there and go, "What am I here for?" Because our brains are wired to forget. Like we have to actively do something
Hmm.
in order for stuff to stick.
That makes sense. So let's give a little teaser. I know the book just launched, so let's give a little teaser of like maybe one of the 45. I mean, we're not going to give away the whole book here, but let's like talk about one, maybe two of those little things that helps us embed and use that sense of making our learning an actionable skill that lasts that we continue to use.
So one of my favorite activities in it, and one that I use personally all the time, whether I'm doing a workshop or just want to remember something myself, it's called R&R, so it's easy to remember. It's unfortunately not rest and relaxation, but
Oh,
it, I
you've
know,
destroyed my hopes and dreams right there,
I
Katrina.
know, I'm
Okay,
sorry,
it's all
but you
right.
could do it while you're resting and relaxing.
Okay, we'll take that.
Um, it's called retrieval and reflect. So the idea is that you think of three things that you can remember from an experience.
Hmm.
So let's say after this podcast, I wanted to remember three things that you and I talked about. I would write those three things down. And then with each of those three items, I would say, and this is where the reflection happens, I would say, okay, well, what do I want to do with that?
Hmm.
And I would write a specific action. And that act of thinking about it and writing about it is the critical piece to keeping to making something durable. We're actually strengthening a neural connection when we
Hmm.
go through that. That's why like I know this is dear to you. I know that's like writing something down in a planner, like physically writing can be so helpful because that writing does help the remembering.
And I've heard of that throughout like history and in a lot of the self-development when we get into it, it's the tangible, it's the tactile piece of it. So getting it out of your head, writing it down actually does, like you said, increases the neural pathway. It strengthens our ability to learn. Do you feel that in this world where everyone's touching a computer keyboard that we're kind of missing that?
I think so. I think so. Like my fingers go faster. I don't have to like process in the same way. And interestingly enough, there's research that supports that. So that, getting the pencil or the pen out, taking that time to pause and kind of critically think is something that we could easily lose, but we can easily practice it too and bring it back into our day-to-day life and remember those things that are most important to us.
Yeah, I always remember like whenever I was testing, I always wrote down what I didn't remember. Like when you get the test back and all the answers you get wrong, those tend to be the ones I remember the most because I'm like, oh, I forgot that kind of thing. So like you embed that into your brain. So I was always looking at it's like not what I remembered, but what I didn't know. It was always the one that stuck with me after a test.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's there's some novelty to the things that we get wrong that help
Mm.
remember. There's some emotion connected to those, and that helps us as well. Those are really kind of key points to remembering something long term.
Yeah, and I work with a lot of women and a lot of entrepreneurs that are in here that are course creators. So they're always looking to create courses that engage. And I think with what you're talking about with learning that lasts is that get the book first and foremost, ladies. Just I'm just going to say that right now because I feel like if you have that and you're creating content or you're creating actionable things, whether you're, doing a course or training, having and embedding those skill sets inside the course, having them reflect on things, having them do what Katrina says, are some of the activities, and there are activities like learning should not be you speaking to them and expecting them to get it. It is that engagement. So talk a little bit about that engagement process.
Absolutely. So, as course creators, the tendency is to give people everything. And
Mm,
we do it from this like very giving, altruistic place, but we're also overwhelming people. So, we serve people better in our courses if we start by asking them, what do you already know? Which
mm,
is reflection. And not only is it a reflective practice, it boosts our motivation. Because if I'm acknowledged that you as an adult come to this experience already knowing something, now you're more engaged because like, oh
mm-hmm,
yeah, I know this, but what else can I add? And that gives you as the course provider some context to work with. And then as we move through a course, having those strategic pauses where we just ask, what's standing out for you?
mm,
What's resonating with you? Because we want to tie the content that we're sharing to the context that somebody lives in. That's what makes it stick. That's what makes it relevant. And that's what makes somebody come back to your course again because they really see the value. And then we end and maybe even nudge after with, what is the thing you want to do? We often
mm.
say, like, what's the key takeaway? Which is great, but we can go further than that. Like, what is it that you want to do? How are you going to do it? And when are you going to do it? Make it small, make it super actionable so that people can then actually put it into practice. Because life is like, as you know too well, like, life gives us a lot. And we need to kind of narrow things in order to be successful.
Well, and I think you said something brilliant too, is that, we need actionable steps. So it's not just the intaking of information, but it's the implementation of the information. And I think, you talk about being the known as the trainer of the trainers. There's a skill set of that. Like for those that are listening, and Katrina can totally tell me if I'm wrong for this, but there's the sense of like when you train a trainer, it's the same thing as being like a course creator or somebody that's educating on something because it literally is taking your skill set and transferring it onto another person. And then those people have got to go and teach somebody else.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. But we have to acknowledge that people come with a set already. So we're
True.
really like enhancing their set so that
Okay.
they can take their stuff, add the direction we want to give, and now go do it their way. Because people are going to do it their way anyway, right? So just acknowledging that. Now we have somebody who's more engaged in the
Mm-hmm.
process because we've acknowledged them.
So do you feel like whether it's an employee that you're doing a train the trainer for or somebody that's building a course, that if we have them starting to take those actions, we get more engagement, we get more stickiness, like they'll stay with us longer, like it's an investment in your client and into your employees?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it changes it from here I am as the expert with all
Mm.
of this knowledge to here I am as your partner. And I am here to see you succeed. I can go watch a million videos and have people tell me all their wisdom. I want to know that you're here with me. I want to know
Right.
that like I've got somebody supporting me.
Yeah, because that's the whole piece behind it, right? Education is boring unless there's somebody that feels like they're on the journey with you. I mean, that's the key
Exactly.
behind it. So let's talk a little bit. So, everyone, definitely get the book, but I also want to dive into the business side of this for you, Katrina. So you have written this book. So what was that creative process like of bringing and birthing, I guess, this book to life?
Wow. So I think it was a long process, first of all. Like it was something that I had to confront some of my demons about, who am I to write this book? I've written three books. They've never seen anything beyond my hard drive. And
Ah, I
yeah.
mean, all my listeners out there, ladies, gentlemen, how many of you can resonate with that? Just checking in with you.
Right. And so it took finally asking for help,
Hmm.
which, we're not
Yeah.
always so good at. And once I asked for help, once I said, this
Hmm.
is the thing I want to do, this fabulously cool thing happened that help showed up. We always
Hmm.
say that, and it feels like such a platitude, but it really did happen. I reached out to a publisher. I wanted to do this traditionally for a few reasons, and they were very open to it and
Hmm.
very supportive. And so I started. I was under contract about a year and a half ago. And so every part of my life became writing the book, every nook, cranny, you name the moment, and it was all book focused.
Okay.
And and then, there's writing the book and then there's marketing the book, which is a whole new set of skills that I had to learn. Writing was easy. I mean, I don't want to diminish that writing is also hard, but I really enjoy the writing part. I enjoyed that like process and thinking and kind of coming up with what I really believed, which happened so much easier, I think, through writing,
Hmm.
at least for me. But then the whole marketing piece, which is going on while you're writing, and then will continue. That was a whole new set of skills for me.
Hmm.
I've been an entrepreneur for 28 years, but asking people to bring me into their organization for a class is very different than like, here, support my book, say good things about my book, review my book on
Yeah.
Amazon. Um, so that learning was really supported by a lot of people who
Hmm.
very generously um, gave me their wisdom and shared their experiences. And I'm still learning. I'm still figuring it out.
Well, and I love that you said because I want to just kind of touch back on the writing of the book. So you contracted a year and a half ago for this book. And yet when I hear like nooks and crannies in my brain, I'm like, oh, good gosh, like, was there at least a format or some guidance in like how this book came together from the help that you received around this?
Yeah, so I received the guidance early on to create buckets
Okay.
of like, find your buckets. And this works for workshops, this works for books as well. Like what are the key things you want to say?
Mm.
And for me, I knew that this was going to be an activity-based book. So I knew that the buckets had to be about outcomes. So there are
Okay.
8 outcomes, and I said, here are the 8. And then it was almost like writing 8 separate workbooks or 8 separate, ebooks, if you will, that could then come together and find the flow between them. But starting with those buckets and having that clear idea of like, here's where I'm going to go. Here are the 8 outcomes. And then, we've got to introduce it, got to show people how. And then I worked forever on a chapter on why to reflect, and
Mm.
finally decided like that chapter is just not working. And so I threw it away. And it just got woven into all of the chapters.
And sometimes that's the best alternative for that, right? Like you work through the process and you're like, this doesn't fit here, so where else might it go? So it becomes a weave in. So that's beautiful. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, it was not and it not easy to get there. I rewrote it 3 times and just didn't like it and kept thinking like, why am I
Mm.
fighting this? And so it was like this epiphanal moment when I realized like just throw it away. Just get rid of it.
Just throw it away, start all over again. Or
Yeah.
get, yeah, and that's perfect. So let's talk then about, all right, the book is written, you've got a team behind you. And like you said, you're now asking to become the expert because that's really what this book showcases you as is the expert around this topic, this skill set that you're bringing to the table. So, what has it been like to really go in there and now be the expert through this book, through this process of writing? What's that been like for you?
It's been a bit surreal and a bit really fun. So the book, because it's about reflection, the natural piece and the piece that I'm really loving is to do closing keynotes for conferences around reflection. So literally having people reflect on their experience and looking back over conferences. So I've this has been the month of conferences. It's been the month of closing them in that way, and it's been really delightful. It's been delightful to see people resonate with the idea. It's been weird to have a few people come to me and kind of, and they've used this word. This is not mine. They've said, "I'm fangirling," which like, well,
I'm
I'm
just a person.
I'm
Like,
just a person.
yeah, yes.
Right.
Yep, that definitely. I love kind of how you are have brought this all together because it is kind of like a reflection. So the closing out of conferences has got to be a huge win. Like just to be able to be there and have them reflect and to know that that's the expert behind this. I will say that I've had that experience too, where I've had people come up to me like, "Oh my God," and I'm like, "Yeah, hi," like it's surreal. But it's also kind of a nod or a hat tip to you in just what you're bringing into the world and what you've gifted the world through your expertise, through your guidance, through your knowledge, your 25 years of education and skill set that have really birthed this book and this process and giving it and showing up in such a way that has people really start thinking again. And I think in a lot of respects, that's what people want. They want to start thinking again. It's like they're waking up into this world all over again. So, marketing the book. So, you are now in that launch phase at the time of this recording. And so, what's it been like for the launch?
The launch has been probably the most, I'm just going to say it this way because this is how I keep saying it in my house. It has been the most unpaid work I've ever done at any one time.
Amen. Amen to that. That is a true, 100% true statement. It is definitely the unpaid work of everything that you're going through right now.
Yeah, and but the wild thing is I've really enjoyed it um most of the time. Um I took on the challenge. I decided that I was like, people need to know you if you launch a
Mm-hmm.
book, right? So I decided back in June that I was going to post every single day on LinkedIn, and I have done that every single day since June. And I've seen my followers grow substantially because of
Mm.
that. I've put some systems into place because of the launch that I think I did not have in my business before.
Okay.
So, scheduling time to write in a more consistent way, scheduling time to reach out to clients, just really having not more rigidity, but more systems so that
More
I'm
structure.
checking the important boxes. Um, Definitely kind of a cool thing that I didn't expect is having more people reach out to me
Mm.
for podcasts and webinars and things. So, managing that has been fun, meeting lots of new people. I think that was really unexpected as part of the marketing goes. And also realizing that there's this idea, I think, with books that, launch day is everything. And my launch day had to get moved
Mm,
for a variety of reasons, which then changed my whole strategy that we had put in place. And it made me step back and realize that launch day is a day, and the book, like so many things that we do in business, is a long game. It is a
yep.
long-term thing. It is not a one day, it is not a one week. And that's really changing how I'm scheduling my days and how I'm using my energy. Otherwise, I would be just exhausted if I put it all into one day.
Well, and I like how you said it too, because I think we get caught up on, as women specifically, of like, this is the one day, this is when this is happening. And then it goes, right? We talk about like, celebrating your achievements, celebrating what you've accomplished as a woman. And sometimes it's so fleeting. We're like, launch day, and then we're like, and moving on to the next thing. So I like where you kind of said, and I'm asking your women to reflect on this using Katrina's words. And look at how many times you've launched or put something newly out and then felt like that was it and done. Like there's still this idea that this continues. It's not just a moment in time. It's like the continuation. It's like, let's put it this way. You gave birth to a kid. There was the time period before that child was ever put into this world, and then there's the time period when the child gets into this world. Like, welcome to the world of business. It has the same thing. There's like what's happening in utero. Then there's what happens the day it gets like put out into the world. And now you're going to basically be nurturing this for the rest of your life. So congratulations.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to get the book. So this podcast really is about making bold statements. I mean, did she really say that as part of this, right? And then you've made some great comments around just, activities, taking on your marketing, writing a book. There are things that she said that you probably think, you go, gosh, she really did say that. So, have you ever come across a client or a organization or something where you've said something and they have all kind of leaned back, look and go, did she just really say
Oh, yeah. Um, so, I'm in learning and development, which is an amazing field to be in. And I get called in to organizations from time to time, and they, want me, that's a standard thing. Can you do this training by next week? And this is our budget. And I have sometimes said, no,
that?
nope, this is not the answer. This is not a training issue. You have an organizational issue.
Ooh.
This, yeah. And they don't expect that. They don't expect that. Like, let's just be one and done, get it off my checklist. But if we want our organizations to grow, we've got to be able to ask the tough questions and we've got to be able to say the tough things. And sometimes that is absolutely no. I can't do that, but we could do this.
And there is some straight talk of, oh my God, did she really say that? Because if you guys were watching the video, you would have seen my expression when she says, it's not a training problem, it's an organizational problem. And you're like, oh my God, she just said that out loud on the podcast. And I have a feeling some of you heard that out there also. So, I mean, we are wrapping up. This has been great. So, what's next for Katrina? The book is out there. What does the next 6 to 12 months look like for Katrina business, and what you're building?
Some of that is to be determined, which is kind of
Yay!
exciting. Yeah. And I'm at a place where I get to kind of have some fun with that. I'm going to do some play. I'm going to launch in around December a
Mm,
reflection class for individuals to
nice.
take part in, to just do your own reflection through the year with some actionable connection to that. And then into next year, I've got some conference closing keynotes again, which is exciting, and hope to do more of those. And then probably another book. I got to do something with
Oh,
all these skills.
I'm telling you, rock it and share it and then help others to do the same thing. So, for those that are listening in our audience, at the time of where you're listening, there is a good chance that Katrina is course, that self-reflection is available. So if you do and you're on here, the links will be down in the show notes. Definitely the link for her book. You're going to want to grab your that right now and say, hey, this is, I definitely want, learning that lasts. No matter where you're at in your business, this is a skill set that I think every one of us as an entrepreneur needs to dive into. So don't let this just sit on the table. Don't let this just be something you listen. My question is reflect, share what your biggest takeaways and what you learned from this podcast with Katrina in our show in the notes down below, in the comments down below, not the notes, the comments. And let's, continue to connect because this is absolutely brilliant. So, Katrina, any last words of wisdom for women that are listening, that are out there, that are contemplating writing a book or just want to do better courses and training out there?
I think take that time to pause, identify what it is that you really like, that one thing that you want people or you to take away, and then decide the next action that connects to that.
I love it. Well, thank you for your time, Katrina, today. Thank you for being on Did She Really Say That? Ladies, gentlemen, ladies mostly, grab the book, grab the notes, follow Katrina. Definitely on LinkedIn. She's amazing over there. She's a great sense of humor and wit. Oh my God. When we first met, she was tagging me on some crazy posts when we were having so much fun commenting back and forth. So definitely connect with her. You're going to learn a lot from her. If you're looking for a keynote speaker for any events that you're hosting, reach out to Katrina. And I just say, connect, learn, and celebrate each other as women. We have the largest voice out there. And then when we support each other and collaborate, we make amazing things. So thanks again for being here. And ladies in the audience, we'll see you on the next episode.